Number 14 is you're obsessing over money. And I get it. It can be very hard not to do this, especially when you're struggling with money and all you're thinking about is how you can have more money. But what I want you to remember on your hunt to build wealth is how money plays a part in your life. Because the reality is you don't just want to have a big bank account. You want to have a good life with a big bank account. Because you can have all the money in the world, but if you're physically unhealthy, if you're depressed, what's the point? And this is where I created what I call the quadrifit theory, which talks about the 4 different fitnesses you want to have in life. That way you can have a happy and fulfilling life. And what this means is, number 1, at the base, you want to be physically fit. Because if you're on your deathbed, if you're morbidly obese, it doesn't matter how much money you have. All you want to do is be healthy again. We all know that feeling when you're really unhealthy. You don't care about anything except being healthy again. Well, you want to make sure, number 1, you're physically healthy. Number 2 is you want to make sure you're mentally healthy. If you're struggling with depression, anxiety, if you don't feel happy, if you're surrounded by toxic people, well, that can drain every ounce of happiness and sense of purpose in your life, and you got to work on that. And maybe that means cutting out some of the toxic people, or maybe that means getting help, getting a therapist, investing in your own mental health, because, well, without that, you can't enjoy this money that you're making. Number 3 is you want to be spiritually fit. This does not mean you have to go out and be religious, necessarily. What this means is you having your sense of purpose. What is your reason for getting up every single morning? Because if you have $10 million in the bank, maybe you don't got to go to work. But you don't want to be sitting in your bed all day. You want to have some sort of sense of purpose, some sense of fulfillment. What is that for you? Now, ideally, if you can feel that spiritual fitness with your career and your work, great. But if not, how can you feel that sense of purpose and pride and enjoyment and excitement from what you do? And finally, at the top of this is financial fitness. A lot of people like to say money doesn't matter. Well, let me tell you something. Your bills take money to be paid. It costs money to eat, and it costs money to feed other people. Money does matter, but you got to understand, money is just one part of this entire system, this entire life. And you want to make sure you have money so you don't have to stress about money, because if you don't have money, well, guess what? That can ruin your physical health, because now you're eating like crap, you can't go to the gym, you can't have healthy food. It can ruin your mental health because now you're always stressed out about money. One of the leading causes of divorce are financial issues. It can ruin your spiritual health because you have no sense of purpose, because you're always worried about money. So yes, money does matter, but you want to understand how money plays a part in your entire life. And number 15 is you do not invest in yourself. One of the funniest things here is how easily somebody will pay $500, $600, $700 a month on a car payment that adds no value to their life. But then when it comes to this idea of spending $500, $600, $700 a month on your own education, your self-education, your financial education, your entrepreneurial education, people will question that for days on end, weeks on end, months on end, asking so many questions of whether or not this is worth the money. But that car is very easy to spend. Now, I understand why, because that car gives you a very clear benefit. When you drive around in a BMW, you show off that BMW. Everybody can see exactly what you have. When you go out and get the financial education, it takes work on your part. Number 1, you have to watch the education. You have to go through the education. And then number 2 is you have to actually apply it. And number 3, you have to hope if it works. Now, instead of hoping if it works, the more effort you put in, the better results you're going to get. But this is where I want you to understand. If you want to get better results for yourself, you got to be willing to invest in yourself. Not just money, but also time and mental capacity. Which means you got to understand, if you want to be able to get the better results, you got to be willing to invest in yourself. Sometimes that means reading books. Sometimes that means watching YouTube videos. Sometimes that means buying classes. Sometimes that means getting coaching. It depends on what stage of your life you are. But you got to be willing to invest in yourself, money and time and mental capacity, and put in the work to actually see the success. Because if you're not willing to do that, well, how do you expect the success to come to you? And how do you expect to get there even faster if you're not willing to put that investment in yourself? If you enjoyed this clip and you want to continue your financial education journey, I have another video that I think you'll love. All you got to do is click that button right over there. And for those of you who want to stay up to date on the top finance and business news, you can join Market Briefs, my free financial newsletter, by clicking that button below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.